you know, we have this blitz of going into the school year, right? And June, July, and August, we had a lot of communication, and you know, and in right before the school, uh, we had some, you know, this kind of town hall, and we are 4 weeks in, and so I just feel like it's important that you hear directly from me and have that connection with the administration, and share your concern, share your encouragement, and we can all pray for each other. And ultimately, you know, we exist here to serve your students. Um, I want to start, if it's okay with you, just take a few minutes for me to pontificate a little bit. uh, I don't know about you, right? I don't know. Sometimes when you listen to or read, you know, this is maybe this is true. Like Mrs. Adam is here, like she's taught students writing. Like if a student's writing a run-on sentence, right, or a student or somebody would just say stuff, but it's like a run-on sentence. It's very hard. It's very confusing. Very hard to comprehend. You know, because there's no punctuations. There's no punctuations to kind of put pause, you know, and create meanings. And so when you have a run-on sentence, it's very confusing. I feel like our time during the pandemic is just a run-on sentence. It's a long run-on sentence, right? It's just like, it's not stopping. It's just like, and then we're all stuck inside, right? And it's a run-on sentence. There is no punctuation. There's not a whole lot of rhythm in our life. Like last week, smoke, right? Can't even go outside. Right? Like even if you want to put on a mask, it's like dangerous, right? Whether the air count was like 250 or something like that. It's just incredible. And I'm most concerned about your kids. Your kids are going through this life right now. It's this long run-on sentence. So we had to figure out how to put some rhythm back. And I just want to share with you some of the things that we're thinking about to try to put some rhythm back in the place. But I do want to say that, oh, by the way, you know, I'm not actually really on campus right now, but I figure I want to put the campus picture in my virtual background because I miss it, right? I miss the life that's still on our campus. But here I wanna show you something, right? So here's oh, by the way, here's a picture of me hiking. This was years ago when I was going on a 5-day trekking trip to Peru, to Machu Picchu. And this is, I think, what was my 4th day. Oh, went on 5 days. Each day we hike about 12 hours. My wife lost 5 toenails on this trip, right? It's crazy. Went out all the way up to 13,000 feet, went back down to 8,000, eventually end up in this breathtaking place. This place, it's incredible. This whole time, you have a sense of this meaningfulness, this you're understanding how, you know, and we have a guide that's helping us understand what we're going through, what kind of terrain we're going through, so that I was able to really be able to put one foot over another and be able to get through this really grueling journey. It turned out to be, if not one of the best, if not, I think it's the best trip I ever had in my life. Just that meaningful. But why do I say that? Because I think the lesson that I learned in this, coupled with the things that I put my life, I spent 7 years studying the idea of resilience for my doctorate study. And this is what I learned about resilience. Resilience requires people to be able to come up with some understanding of meaningfulness. What does that mean? That means that there's a sincere wish and motivation to cope. Okay, and comprehensibility. That means that the person believes that the challenge is understandable. You can understand the challenge in front of you. And manageability is to recognize that you do have resources to be able to cope with the challenge. I would even say that out of my study and my research, I would say that hyperconductivity is what brings everything together. Hyperconductivity means that a person, in order to be resilient through challenges, that person has to feel a sense of connection with other people, right? So what does that mean? How do we build that into this? How do we help our young people, our kids, to make some sense that we ought to be motivated to get through this challenge, right? We had to continue to have conversation with them. We need to probe, ask questions. We need to help them to really begin to kind of wrap their mind around the stuff that they're going through. Like we have our lifetime experience leading up to where we are, and even for us, it's challenging. Imagine a 12-year-old, a 13-year-old. They don't have a lot to bring to the table to provide context to the things that is happening to them. And so it's really important for us to keep talking with them and allowing them to process and help them to comprehend what's going on. And then manageability is how do they experience small success, and so that they realize, oh, I do have that resource that I can use, the tool that I can use to do this, to do that, right? And so these are the kind of things that I am constantly talking to teachers about, is like, how can you give a little bit more tools to students so that they can experience success in the midst of this really difficult time, right? And then ultimately conductivity. This is the most challenging part, right? Pandemic creates a sense of isolation, but we cannot fold. We got to figure out how to connect in some way or the other, right? To be able to do that. So that's something that I really want to make sure that we can do for you. I want to share with you the landscape of what's going on here. With California right now, things are changing all the time. And, right in the beginning of this month, right, California had adopted a 4-tier system that has purple, red, orange, and yellow code on all the counties. And I put the 5th one, which is green, because that will correspond to our scheduling process. And it serves as a dimmer switch, right? Any county can go up or down, depending on the community transmission of the virus. And right now we're in purple. Purple means like nothing we can do. But as soon as the dimmer switch goes down to the red, we then are able to provide some in-person activities in school for instructional purposes. So right now, the question is, what can we do in a purple stage? I've been talking to my administrative team, and we're putting this into works right now. And Mr. Sweeney here, right? He is at the moment helping us to look at the specific wording of the regulations that governs, us. We want to be really careful. We want to be extremely compliant to the regulation. We want to bear good witness to our community. We want to make sure safety is our prime directive. At the same time, I'm deeply concerned about our students' emotional health. And so we have to figure out how to get them to connect. And so we have some ideas on how can we take one day out of the week to bring some students into as a small pod of, say, 10 students, but social distance, and coming on campus to just like, sit together, or to run some laps or do some, do some activity, or sit in a, in a far away in outdoor and do some drawings or something like that, and just for 1 hour at a time, and now we are able to be in compliance to do something like that. So I want to let you know that we are aggressively looking into that option, aggressively, right? And Ms. Sarah already has sent out a particular plan for next Wednesday that is sort of precursor to this thing that I'm talking about right now, and we're going to test it out and pilot and see if it will work well. But the whole point of it is to figure out how can we just really provide that connectivities for your kids. We're also looking into the same similar strategy or approach for the high school students, and then for the elementary school, we're trying to figure out how to be in compliance to the waiver application for the 4th and 5th graders and so on. So we're doing our due diligence to make sure that everything that we do is safe, but also making sure that we care for and pay attention to our students' social and emotional health. So I just want to share that with you. We can talk, we have some ideas that, perhaps, right now, currently we're working on developing a frisbee golf course on our campus. And so we could have a pod of students, taking turn and be able to do frisbee golf, for example. We already have archeries from our outdoor education from past years, and that we can also have a station for that kind of activity to happen. So there's some ideas on the table that we're aggressively looking into. So I just want to share that with you. I do want to make one more announcement, and I'll turn the time to Ms. Ayers to say a few words. But our school is a partnership between us and parents, and I'm just so blessed that we have a group of parents that continue to pray for us every single week. Parents in Prayer, there's a group that is led by Angela Watts and Anita Maxwell, and every week on Tuesday morning from 10 to 10:45, there's a prayer meeting on Zoom. So I would encourage you to join. And I just want to make that announcement. I can later on in the chat room give you the email address to Anita Maxwell's email, and you can, shoot her email, because she can send you the Zoom link for Parents in Prayer meeting every Tuesday, 10 a.m. to 10:45. But I want to thank you for just being with us. I want to turn our time to Natalie to share a little bit, and then we'll open up for conversation. Natalie.
Thank you, Dr. Chin. I sent an email this Sunday that highlighted a lot of our different plans for this upcoming couple weeks. So one of them was our progress reports for Q1. So we're going to be doing a snapshot for the students' grades this Friday at 4 o'clock, which means the grade books will close on Thursday. So students need to start turning in all the paperwork to the teachers, because then we start finalizing all the grades on that Friday. But it's just the progress reports. It's just a snapshot for the students' grades to give us a little bit of depth of where they're at right now. The second part is not this Wednesday, but the following Wednesday. I'm pretty excited. We're piloting an emotional wellness day for our students. We're also connecting it with cross-curricular lessons in the classroom, which will be the beach day. And it's a scavenger hunt. You guys are more than welcome to start the scavenger hunt early on the weekend if it doesn't fit your schedule. But I'd really encourage those that does fit the schedule to attend on Wednesday. So maybe when we're walking the trail, we'll see each other, of course, 6 feet distance away with our masks and so forth. And then Thursday, this is something new that was not in my letter. We are very excited. Finally, my long-awaited math textbooks came in after a couple months of waiting. It's been pretty crazy with curriculum. So that's for our 6th and 7th graders. Those textbooks are in, and so Thursday, 3 to 5 o'clock, we're gonna have a time where parents can come pick up stuff. It is also available for our 8th graders to come pick up their French books, because the French books are in, along with other supplies. So our English department and so forth have copies that they are making and getting prepped and ready for distributing. So Thursday this week, 3 to 5 o'clock, we'll be having a pickup time. All right. I think that's it for my list of items. Does anybody have, do we want to open this up now, Dr. Chin, for any Q&A?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, feel free to just chime in.
I just want to say from my observations of Winnie being in class, I am so appreciative of all the work that all of you are doing. Blessings on all of you. Natalie, you're amazing. And I'm just really blessed to have Winnie be able to participate at PacBay this year. So I just want to say thank you so much. I might be slightly biased because I was a teacher there, but I think it's also interesting when I hear other people talk about their children being in 6th grade and how disappointed they are in how it's really hard for their kids to get involved. And I think, wow, I just can't say enough. I almost feel embarrassed when I'm like, well, Winnie's really happy because she's got so much interaction. And I think the things that you've implemented, they just, as far as breaks and having the Wednesday flex, I just love all of that. So I just want to say thank you.
Well, thank you, Megan. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, just to say what Ms. Megan was saying, yeah, we're very thankful for all the work. PacBay is a blessing for us in a lot of ways, but thank you for that. And just one specific question right now that Ms. Sarah said, Thursday from 3 to 5. If we cannot do it that day, we have a dentist appointment at 4, so it's just in the middle. Is there another day, or how can that work?
Yeah, we can work on scheduling other time for families. So just feel free to reach out to me, and we'll work on what fits well to your schedule too, because we do have staffing that are on campus, and we can set up various small group times, not like the whole large middle school showing, but small group times would be fine. Okay. So just email me. Okay, thank you. Not a problem. I know it's short notice. It's just literally they arrived on Monday, and I know several of my 6th and 7th grade families have been really, especially even me as a parent, wanting those books in my daughter's hands. So.
Is there anything that that you've noticed or that you've heard from other teachers in ways that we could support our kids further? Or any like patterns of anything? I mean, I don't know. I'm just wondering if there's any things that you've heard that maybe tips that we could implement, or I don't know.
Can I please jump on that one? If you happen to be in the house when your kids are in class, can you please encourage them to actually take a break from their screen time? Because I catch them walking away, and then I look at my computer later and they're like chatting with each other and things. I think it's really important for their mental health and for their eyes so they don't get headaches, for them to, when we have our breaks approximately every 15 minutes, or it is every 15 minutes, please, if you happen to be around, they should walk away from the computer. That's as a mother and as a teacher.
And that was also a recommendation from Dr. Thielander. He had gone through and looked at our policy and what best fits for the pre-adolescents on screen time and being able to learn. So we've been following his model.
Also, video games, minimizing the amount of time, as difficult as that may be on video games, is really important.
Well, it is very challenging, Reverend James, because Fortnite just got released. And if any of your kids play Fortnite, I can barely get my kids off of that gaming system right now. So it's all about the Marvel series.
Fortnite, is that just 2 weeks, isn't it?
No.
Or is it a game?
No, yeah. Sorry, you're not hip. No, it is, it is a very important game in the lives of our kids right now for a lot of the middle school kiddos.
you know, every generation we all had certain struggle. You know, for me, growing up is arcade, right? Going to arcade and playing Street Fighters and all that. Like getting, you know, again, it's I'm not downplaying the, you know, the severity. I think there's a real sort of temptation, and you know, I think right now my young son is like all into Pokemon Go, right? I'm like, no, no, you know, I have to regulate that. Um, but I think again, you know, I appreciate Mrs. Pucci's encouragement, and I recognize how challenging it is that parents, when you're busy and you're working from home, it's really hard to also manage too. So it's a partnership. It's a reminder, you know, when you are able to, you know, then do some regulation, and when we are able to, as a teachers, we provide certain activities and breaks and transitions so that we can kind of all take the break together, or all like get up and move around in front of the camera together. So, but that's something that it is true. It's not easy, and we're you know, it's such a digitized world now, right? We struggle so hard to like want students to be outdoor and then not play video game, and now all of a sudden pandemic hits, everything is online. So
I was just wondering in terms of the potential of a waiver. I know that Sunnyvale Christian was one of the first in the Bay Area to get one of the waivers, and wondering if we've learned anything so far from some of the schools that have applied and gotten waivers, and then potential application for PacBay.
yeah, the waiver, what it does, well, first of all, it's a pretty rigorous process. Many schools, one of their major hurdle is testing all employees. And testing, there are 3 different types of tests. Only one is feasible, or one is reliable, and so, and that's the one that takes quite a while to, you know, in terms of getting the result back, and so that has been the challenge. That's number one. Number two is our waiver only apply. So California says waiver is for K to 6th grade, but it's K to 6 within the elementary division. So if the 6th grade right now is in a middle school division, I think it's under a different, you know. So right now, what we are implementing, or right now what we're in the process doing, is applying waiver for 4th and 5th grade. So, and that's the challenge right now. So yeah, so I'm connected to some schools. Some have been rejected and some have received waiver. And we're trying to, and it's always county by county. Certain counties are more stringent and certain counties are not as stringent. I think San Mateo is pretty reasonable. So I think it's just that we're combing through the details of the waiver right now. Because our initial plan was, I think, pretty comprehensive under a different set of guidelines, and these guidelines are shifting and changing. And so, right, so originally we had the guideline of, we actually created a color-coded system, right? And where no one's doing that, and then we did a color-coded system and 3 colors, and then later on, Harvard's Global Health Institute came up with 4 colors, and then now it's like 5 colors. So, and then there's a different matrix on what triggers what, you know, and really right now it's really all about community transmission, right? And so, so we're learning a lot as we go right now. But again, I think right now our strategy is not so much, well, how can we get back on campus for instruction? Because I think again, like I always say, that there's a difference between sort of what we expect to be an in-person learning versus social distance learning, right? Because then you're on your mask on, distance apart. Teachers can't really move around that much. It's really, really challenging. So we're trying to figure out, well, if we are going to provide that aspect of social emotional support, that's bring students in and get them out to like move around, run around, do stuff together in a safe way, then that I think that will give us a more bang for the buck.
I actually had a question. Is there, besides the office hours, a way for students to connect with teachers that in subjects they're having trouble in more one-on-one?
Yeah, the teachers are available for our students. So we have the office hours on the Wednesday.
Okay.
And then if there's additional time that they need, you could always write out to them. Typically, it would be after the school. We usually had it during our X block time, which would be directly after school. So that would be the best timing for our teachers to be available to meet with them one-on-one if they're having some challenges in the classroom. So I would just send an email to that teacher and requesting that time. Our teachers have been pretty available on helping out the students.
I just want. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I just had a quick question about the enrichment courses. Would they be switching up every quarter, or should we expect that it would be the same enrichment courses throughout the year? Just thought if you can comment on that.
Our enrichment courses change throughout the year. Currently, this is our semester plan that you have on your schedule. The class that is changing, I sent an email to the families regarding our culture and language program. So that's for our 7th and 8th grade grouping. So about every 4 weeks, we change into a new country and a new language. So basically the kids have their passport and they're traveling the world. So this week, we just are entering into Ecuador with Pastor Schaefer. And he's been a missionary on the field there in the villages, pretty primitive villages for 19 years, and just came back this last year. Started up a school, pretty phenomenal. I attended his first session and will be with the majority of his sessions throughout this next 4 weeks with the students. But it is where he is talking about tribal life. So in that grouping, the tribal life with the Ecuadorians was pretty primitive, and they are polygamist, the majority of them. So he does share a couple stories about polygamists. He just briefly mentioned that in the meeting with them today, and also encourage the kids to watch a movie that is a PG-13 movie. So you'll have to think about if you would want your child to watch that movie or not. But it is free on Netflix. It's titled The End of the Spear, which is a missionaries movie where they head into this village, and that's the villages that he's working with, where the missionaries were speared. So pretty rough lifestyle that he's been in for the last 19 years and serving them and teaching they didn't know anything about Christianity, and has been part of that for, I'm pretty excited that he can bring an insight to our students about a whole new culture. And he also is sharing Spanish language with them too during the time. So, but that will be changing in another 4 weeks. And it's slated at the end of this season to be doing Mandarin and also French.
And I want to comment on that. If you would notice that, you know, if PacBay is something that you have foresee that your kid will be here for the long duration into high school, you notice our high school, we offer very rigorous world language offerings with 6 different languages. This is unheard of for most high schools. I've been in education for 25 years. Private schools don't nearly offer this many but here's the thing, right? We had to ramp up. Um, in the middle school, the idea is language is tricky, right? Language, you'll learn the language well when it's in the proper context, right? It's not just like you go in and say, okay, I want to learn Spanish, and I just follow a textbook and then do this and memorize vocabulary. But rather, if it's in the context of a culture, understanding, motivation, and inspiration, then that the language learning will be very effective. So in a sense that we are taking middle school students who go through these sort of cultural and language exposure to motivate and to inspire students, right? To say, oh wow, that's amazing. I mean, people speak this language, have different way of life, and maybe I'm motivated to explore in this area. So when I get in high school, I can really hunker down and then learn that language and be able to go far. So I think that's really the motivation for this type of approach.
Again, I just want to echo everyone's sentiment about the incredible work all of you guys do there. We're so blessed. You guys have been phenomenal, and thank you, every single one of you, for your leadership, and we appreciate it. We're praying for you, and so we just want to say thank you. I have a question in regards to, and I kind of mentioned this, I know I talked to Ms. Iris about it through email, but the different applications that exist, we have TCI, we have Clever, we have PacBay. There's various different platforms, and you know, I'm constantly, did you log into Clever? Did you log into PacBay? Did you log into TCI? What did you have to, you know? So I just want to make sure that there's going to be a consistent flow of uniform, of ensuring that all of their assignments or tasks at hand are centralized. It makes it easier for them, and it makes it easier for us as a parent to keep them accountable. And you know, and like I said, Natalie's been great and giving me ideas as to how to get that information out and making sure my son in junior high is on top of it. But I just wanted to ask if that was going to be something that we're going to continue to streamline, to make sure that all the teachers are submitting everything in one location.
By the way, I came up with those questions. You know, Susan. Yeah.
That's great. Appreciate that question. I'm gonna hand this to Vince to share from his perspective, but from my understanding, and that was really the motivation back in, I believe, back in June. I can't remember when I texted Vince and say, you know, we gotta look for a application, a central like doorway, so to speak, for everything to flow through, right? And we found Clever to be one that encompassed many applications, but not all, right? And so that creates a challenge, right? Because PacBay can only do certain things, and then you have other educational applications that won't connect. But then, so that's one of the reasons why, and I'll let Vince speak on that in terms of what is the best way to think about it, and what is some of the essential kind of a, you know, the app that you go through.
Yes. So Clever was supposed to help. So the students and you, the parents, don't have to remember all the usernames and passwords as much. The teachers use various learning management systems to help them with their classroom activities, assignments. But in the end, all assignments and grades are supposed to be in PacBay. So if all else fails, you should be going to PacBay, or I guess in the first place. PacBay should be the source of information. If you're noticing that things aren't showing up there, and then let us know, because then we can make sure the teachers, if they're having difficulty updating the system. But for parents, that's really the system that you want to keep track of for assignments and the overall grades.
Thank you, Vincent. But what about the submission link? Because I know that sometimes they have to submit things in different apps.
Right.
So, you know,
Yes.
Telegram and all that other apps, you know.
Yeah, the submissions, that's I've been getting more questions from other parents as well. The submissions often are linked to the teacher's classroom materials. We're working with them to try to make sure that they can put them all into my PacBay as well. But there are some tools like Google Classroom for English works better for collaboration and commenting on papers because that cannot be done easily in my PacBay, or it isn't done as efficiently. So that's why there are some teaching tools that are better or developed specifically for different subjects. We know that this causes a headache for the parents because you're really doing your best, especially because there's so much online now, trying to keep track of all the things. So what we're trying to do is encouraging the staff to try to utilize my PacBay for submission, but there are specialty tools that are only available outside of my PacBay. If you get confused, know that teachers are flexible. So talk with them and let them know, hey, we're having trouble. And then as the help desk from my side, I'm trying to encourage the students to talk to me because they're talking to the teachers, but they're not copying the help desk. So therefore, I get it, like a day later or, after the fact. So if I get the notices up front, I can try to help the students as well, or you, if you're sending the emails, copy the or CC the help desk, and then I can also help if there are any issues, because there are some where it's, there's so many different things out there. We like to centralize, but at the same time, the teachers, some of the tools are better for subjects that aren't in my PacBay.
And so, Vince, what you're saying is that you actually want people to let you know or even copy you whenever there's an issue, because you want to be able to keep track of what are some of the issues that are happening.
Yes, correct. Yes.
And that's help desk at
PacBay.org. Yes.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments?
I do, Mike. Thank you guys so much. Your labor in the Lord is never in vain. We're so happy that God has called our family here. And I wondered, can you guys talk a little bit about what's going to be happening more for chapel? I know last year they kind of piggybacked on the high schoolers worship for chapel. So if you could talk about, is there going to be a worship team or what you guys are going to just be working on? Thanks.
So we decided this year that we were going to go full steam with the middle school and not join the high school chapel. A little bit of leap of faith, and it's so far going well, but is there improvement needed? Yes. We're also trying to do a different model than the high school. The high school does the recordings, and we did the recordings also. But I felt like when I got closer to the end of the spring, the kids weren't as connected. And I felt like we may want to have a little more connection with the students by doing a live chapel. So we're testing out the live chapel right now. I actually think we'll probably end up going to a point where it's a little bit recorded and live, but we'll see. So we are in the testing phase right now in middle school. I've been very thankful that Miss Bai, our music teacher, has been able to join us, and she's been doing meditation music at the beginning. So like this week, tomorrow, we have one song by Miss Bai, and then we have our presenter, which is going to be weekly various teachers and our staffing. So Miss Iki will be teaching a lesson. And at the end, she's also going to be doing a song with the kids, and then leading into our student council president, we'll be doing a closure for our time. So we also want to start working towards having a more student-driven points in the chapel, where either they're reading the Bible verses or leading the prayers and so forth. So It's still a plan in development, and I think we're doing a little trial by error and see how it goes. But each week as a teaching staff, we meet and we go through and review what's working well, what's not working well, and what we would like to improve on. So I think you'll continue to see improvement in that area. But right now we've been doing it at Wednesday afternoons.
Far out. Thank you, Natalie. I know it's chapel is always a labor and love as a youth pastor too. I'm always like, what else can I do on Zoom? So yeah. I wanted to ask you and just address quick the issue of for lack of a better term, the issue of gore. My daughter in English class, they read a book about a dragon and people being burned to death. In history class, there was the description of Romans crucified. And my kid doesn't even watch the Marvel movies. And so you saying that, oh, and now we're going to have, here's your spear tribal warriors. I'm kind of like, okay, so how deep are we going? And I don't know if maybe I'm the only one. We're really careful with the amount of violence that we take in ourselves, and we really pray against it. And so if you can just enlighten me on how you guys are reining that in, I would appreciate it.
Oh, interesting. I'll have to check in with the teaching staff on that because I haven't heard that perspective from anybody. I know today when we did our first lesson, I didn't realize all the details of the tribal village and kind of that community. It was really eye-opening for me, but it was not where there was gore involved. It just, the mention of, and then moved on to the next part of it. It is part of their lifestyle in that community. I don't think it's a bad thing to be able to acknowledge that that's part of their community and then move on and also highlight the beauties of their community. And there was a lot of beauty that he shared about the Christian churches and so forth that have been built up in that country. So good point. I'll check in with our teachers tomorrow because I don't know if I can give you any more on the spot on that. But yes, I'm not big into gore either, and I only watch predominantly Disney or cartoon movies. So
yeah, we definitely can connect with the teachers, and they will have a firsthand knowledge of what they're teaching, and we'll talk about that. So thanks for bringing that up to us.
Well, just to have peace of mind off the movie, The End of the Sphere, it's PG-13. It's not like, The Passion of the Christ was rated R, and that we understand, right? But I guess the storyline, there's some real life footage of the actual native folks from Ecuador where you see the body of the missionaries lying, but it's from a distance. And maybe that's why it's PG-13, but it's not like there's a lot of gore and blood. But there are some elements, kind of like, it's almost like a documentary from National Geographic, to that sort, but it's not, there's no profanity, there's none of that. I've watched it many years ago, as a youth pastor myself. It's one of the movies we highlighted. It's a great testimony, but if you've seen Passion of the Christ rated R, but End of the Sphere is nothing like that.
Well, and the connection with the End of the Sphere is the generation. So the second generation is in the village that he was working with. And so people that were in that village at the time that the missionaries were murdered are now teaching in his village and working with him. And they were, I think he said, 4 to 5 years old during the time that frame happened. So that was why he was tying that part in. So I don't think it's a bad idea for the students, but obviously it's a PG-13, so as a parent, you'd have to decide.
I remember we showed it at our film festival at our church that we host. But it's years ago, so I don't have cheese brain. I don't remember it. But amazing job. Jude has had so much more in March and April. There was connectivity issues and I don't know what's next and I can't get on the link, Mom. And no issues this time. I think amazing tech, amazing teachers, lining everything up. I'm so encouraged by how good you guys are doing with it and how easy it is for my 7th grader to navigate it. So I just want to throw that out there too. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And keep your suggestions coming. We take everything into account, and we evaluate and we improve. And obviously, you know, all in the spirit of learning and being humble and participating, partnering with you. It's just a tremendous joy. We want the school to be as good as God make it to be, right? And so it's just, this is a difficult time. And I just want to acknowledge the great job you guys are doing supporting your kids, and the joy that you've given us to support and watch your kids grow. We're gonna come out of the other side looking back and say, wow, you know, we did this together, you know. So
And just one last thing, parents in prayer. I'm happy that you say about it. And I know 10 o'clock for a lot of parents and even for the teachers is hard to be there. But if you send an email to Anita, we'll be very happy to pray for you. It's a group of beautiful ladies and sometimes men that come to pray with us. But it's also confidential. If you share something with us, it's not that it's going to be posted to the whole school. We keep it close, and we will be praying, and it's a blessing for us to pray for all of you. So please contact Anita if you need prayer in anything that you need.
yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly thank the leadership team, Dr. Chen
Thank
and the team,
thank you.
and all of the teachers. Sam, and like going to 7th grade, I think was very nervous with the whole distance learning, but I just wanted to thank everyone on the staff and the teachers and all the extra work preparing all the materials. I think online distance learning just put a lot more effort right into putting together all the materials. So I wanted to thank everyone. I do have one quick question, Natalie, around the scavenger hunt. So do we just show up there at during the time? If you could just kind of give me a quick idea for that.
Yeah, there's no real set time. The window is 9 to 12:30, but I'm going to be showing around the 9 o'clock time. And I think a lot of families will be showing around that time too, to go on their hike. But it is an open window for the families. And if you can't make it on the Wednesday, you can always go ahead and do it over the weekend. Hopefully our air quality is good, but it seems like everything's kind of moving out where we're getting good quality air coming in. So it is up to you because it is a parent-led activity. But I will be arriving around the 9 o'clock hour, and I know a few of our teachers will be too. And I did the hike a couple weeks ago and had a blast with it. It really just was a lot of fun. It's a big, beautiful trail that they've just opened up there. So I think you guys will find that you'll really enjoy it too. And the pier's always got lots of wildlife going there with the fishermen and so forth. So but yeah, it is for selfies. So they'd be taking pictures of the various items, and ultimately they would upload all their images into a drive that I'll be sharing with them. So that way also we can kind of build, you know, a little yearbook together for one of our first events together. And a community building event is part of the goal too. So
thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I want to give credit to Natalie. She came up with this idea. I mean, this just, you know, it's like, can't do things together, at least do things sort of together in a sense that you're doing it with a family, but then you bring the fruit of your experience, and then we, you know, and collaborate and join together. And I really want to, you know, say that's the spirit of it, and we're moving in that direction. We're gonna take what we learn, and then, you know, this is a, you know, in many ways parent-led activities that Natalie and her team design. But what we're going to move toward is then it becomes staff-led activities are based on small pots and social distance and face masks and all that. But at least they will be bringing just that short 1 hour point of connection, you know, each week that students will feel, you know, give them a dose of energy for the rest of the virtual time, right? So.
I just had another quick question.
Sorry,
my son, oh sorry, My son Owen is really into sports, and he wanted me to ask if there was any updates on sports. I know the county's still in purple, but I thought I'd ask if there was any updates.
Oh, you're muted.
I wish I could give you better news on it. No real updates. The CIF right now is for high school. That has said they're basically going to be starting the December timeframe, and that is wishful thinking, I think. And then basically season 1 for their games and so forth would be starting in the January season. So ideally, we're following their same type of model that would be starting in the January for the small school intermediate league that they compete in. So definitely is the hope, because my heart is with sports. I was served as an athletic director for many years, and I'm still the girls basketball coach, and that's kind of why I'm in the Bay Area. Is I came in here to play college basketball over at SF State. So I would love to get the kids onto the basketball court and doing different sporting activities. But right now, I still feel like we're a little bit away from that.
Thank you.
Welcome.
So I just wanted to say thank you. Maybe I don't have any questions because we're too new. Maybe I'll have questions later on, but I just want to say thank you. Even though my daughter still hasn't been able to create, friends as if she would at a campus, but I just want to say that she feels very comfortable. It was scary coming into a brand new school for her. And I have to say the faculty and the teachers have really helped her to ease her. So I just want to say, kudos to all you guys. And we are praying that this will, end eventually. And but a prayer out to just you guys, because you guys are doing an awesome job. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And we're keenly aware of, especially for new students, don't have the prior connections, and we're gonna work hard to figure out how we can help forge connections for them. So, yeah.
And don't feel alone in the 6th grade class. So we had about half the new students coming in and half that were from our campus. So we had a very large group coming in. So your student is not alone. We have a lot of new students in 6th grade. So.
I believe we're about to run out of time. If you don't have any sort of last questions or comments, I want to give you a heads up. Very soon, I'm gonna be sending out 2 separate surveys, one to families, parents, and one for students. And we're currently at the moment designing a emotional well-being and distance learning survey. There will be one for families and there will be one for students. And we want to and every month there will be the same one coming out, so we can track the trend and be able to respond quickly. So I just want to let you know that. I'm going to go ahead and say a word of prayer and end our time together. Thank you so much for being together with us. Let me pray. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Appreciate you showing up and have this conversation. Take good care and keep in touch. Keep in touch. Bye-bye.